write tangent of theta in terms of sine of theta. So what we mean by this is that we want to write an expression that is equivalent to tangent of theta but involves no trigonometric functions other than sine of theta, right? So we start with what we know about tan. So tangent of theta is equal to sine of theta over cosine of theta, right? So the numerator is fine, but we want to write cosine in terms of sine. So how we do that is that we recall the Pythagorean identity, right? Which basically says that cosine squared of theta plus sine squared of theta is equal to 1. And now given this equation, we can solve for cosine and write it in terms of sine. So the first thing I want to do is I want to subtract a sine squared theta from each side of the equation. Okay? So we end up getting cosine squared theta is equal to 1 minus sine squared theta. Okay? And then to solve for cosine, what we do is we just take the square root of both sides of the equation. So simplifying, on the left we just get cosine of theta, and on the right we get plus or minus the square root of 1 minus sine squared theta. So now since we have cosine of theta written in terms of sine of theta, what we can do is we can replace this up here. So finally what we have is tangent of theta is equal to sine of theta over plus or minus the square root of 1 minus sine squared of theta. And then finally, to write this nicer, let's pull this plus or minus out. So this is going to be plus or minus sine theta over the square root of 1 minus sine squared of theta. So there, we have written tangent of theta only in terms of sine.